Hello and welcome to the Rites of Passage for 1984, Fame and Glory. I'm here with the final three, and we're going to go through everybody that has left the game so far, and just talk about your experiences with them, whatever you'd like. Just give a little shout out. So we're going to start off with Madison.
Okay, cool. So as everyone knows, I adore Madison. Madison is one of my best friends to ever exist and walk this earth. I have two matching tattoos with her. I was obviously very sad to see when she left early, but I obviously adore Madison. I'm so excited to meet her here in July for our birthday together, her 21st and my 22nd birthday. So I love Madison so much, and I hope she's doing well, and I hope the world treats her as good as she deserves to be. So
yeah, and my personal relationship with Madison, this was actually the first time I'd ever met Madison in any sort of game. I knew of Madison because she was a big name in, this series in particular. I remember seeing her in Rewrite the Stars with the cookie competition, and it was her and Brian Spencer it came down to, and I knew she was a good, fierce competitor, and I knew she was also just a good person outside of it. So I was happy to get to know her for the few days that she was in the game, but yeah, I hope she's doing well, and I hope everything after the season's treating her well.
I've never played with Madison. I've seen her play a lot of games. I was really excited to see her here, and I wanted to get the chance to play with her. So I'm sad that we really didn't get the chance. We really didn't talk at all, really, before she left. She was one of the few people that I didn't get on, a call with then, or really get to talk to, which was a shame. So I hope I do come across her in another game and actually get to know her and talk to her, because I've really only ever heard, good things, from people who have played with her. So, we'll see, but I hope things are well for her.
Okay, next up, we'll move on to Zach Ped.
Oh, is Caleb even? Oh, there he is. Caleb? Not the mess.
or my internet.
Well, I guess we can talk about Zach Ped.
Okay, anyways, I will start off with Zach Ped. Once again, Zach Ped is not someone that I knew coming in. I knew Zach Ped was going to be a really good player because considering him, Zach Rath, and my boy Nick were the only former winners coming in. It was a little intimidating to play with people that you don't know that have really good placements. But once again, he's quite the character. He had a short stay, but he made the most of every moment. I appreciated his poem on his way out as well. Was hoping some other people were going to take some inspiration from him, but yeah, Zach Ped's a real funny guy, and I hope I cross paths with him again in the future.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, you're good now, Caleb.
Okay, cool. Zach, I really think you're a great person. I think, once again, I think you're very funny to watch and play this game, to kind of feed off of Devin there. Kind of sucked to see you go so early, but it is what it is, as a previous winner. So, but you're a great guy, and I hope you're doing well, and I hope that you enjoyed your time while you were here. So, yeah.
Being on the block with Zach week one was so funny. Just like the whole Zach nom said, and the whole thing was just a lot. I had heard, as we probably all heard, he was doing a lot of pre-gaming and stuff. Pre-gaming and stuff before the game, and that's partly why he was targeted. So I don't know, really funny. He definitely made an impact on the season. I feel like he started the whole old school, new school thing, and kind of lasted for a while. So he definitely made an impact on the season, and I guess there's that for him. But I'm sad I didn't get to play with him longer. He was a lot of fun to be around for the short time he was here.
Okay. Next up, we have Mr. Snackson himself, Jackson Stroup.
So Jackson, coming into this game, when I met you in the house, I made a promise with you that I would not come after you like I did an instinct, and I'm glad that I kept that. I think you're a really funny guy. I think your humor is one of a kind, and I really appreciate it as someone who's very different, I think, in terms of life and everything. I think you're a very funny guy, and I was sad to see you go so early, but Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to keep it short.
Yeah, and Jackson is somebody that, once again, I didn't know coming into the game per se, but we had the same kind of background, both athletic backgrounds. So I really was hoping that he wasn't going to hit the block as soon as he did, because I thought there was a chance that me and him could have hit it off, given a little bit more time. But once again, great guy and great player. He was another one that I had sort of my eye on coming into it. But yeah, that's Jackson.
I played with Jackson previously. It just doesn't feel like we can ever get on the same page. I wanted to work with him this game, and then Kennedy put him up. And then after that, I heard that he was saying that if he had stayed, he was going to nominate me and Kennedy. He was telling people that I was wanting him out. I don't know. It wasn't the case. I had no influence over him going up. But personally, I don't really know him that well personally. I feel like we just haven't gotten to be at that level with each other where we get to know one another. But I know that he has a lot of friends and people in this community that genuinely like him. And, I always see a lot of support for him. And so, must be doing something right. Must be, a great guy. I mean, I was on prod when he played, so I've seen it firsthand. So I do think one day he and I could get along well in a game. It just hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
Thomas, right? So, yeah, Thomas. Okay. I know we didn't have too many conversations in this game, but I've talked to you outside this game before a few times, and I think you're a really nice guy, and I think that you have a lot going for you in terms of life. Sorry that we couldn't really connect much in this game, but I still think you're a great guy, and I hope you are doing well as well. So, yeah.
Thomas was a name that, I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous about coming into the season, because I had seen clips of him just clocking people on calls, and he sort of just gives it to you straight as it is, which I can respect. And it's sort of unfortunate because in this season, obviously life comes first, his job comes first. So you didn't really see the full version of Thomas that I think we expected, but I do hope he gets another chance to come back into 1984, because I think he's a really, really fantastic player. And like I said, I think if he had his 100%, there's a really good chance that he could have one of our 3 spots, or at least a spot in the jury as well. He's just that good at the game. So never got to meet him, never got to play with him before this. But the few conversations that I did have with him in the game, you could tell that he had a good head on our shoulders.
I really like Thomas. I got the opportunity to, play with him here. I felt like he and I had a pretty good relationship while he was here. Was sad to see him go. Didn't want to see him go. He was probably one of the people I was most excited to play with here, just because I haven't seen him around at all. And obviously, when you see the same people around, it can get a bit like, oh my God, I've played with them before. I've seen them before. Thomas, never played with him, never seen him anywhere but in lockdown. So I was really excited, just because to me it was a completely new face. So genuinely excited I got to meet him. Was awesome to be on calls with. Very, very funny, very, very likable. And I didn't want to see him go so soon. But I hope I run across him, and I hope he's doing well.
Okay. Next up, we have Andrew.
Mr. Coach. This was the first time that I ever met you. I really liked you, honestly. I think you were against Braden, who I was actually kind of close to on a game level at that point. But I really enjoyed our conversations, our one-on-ones. I think you're a very intelligent and very interesting guy, and just a funny guy to talk to in general. I was very shocked to see you go as early as you did, but you're a great guy, and I hope you're doing well. So.
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever met Andrew as well. And this game, this was a sticky part of the game, I think, because obviously you get controversy after controversy, it sort of seems like. So what I'm thankful for when it comes to Andrew is, I'm sure everybody knows at this point, but there was a New York City meetup, and I had the opportunity to literally go sit down and have a one-on-one lunch with Coach, and share a drink, share a meal with him, and just sort of pick each other's brains just about life and all this other stuff. So it was really cool getting to know the real Coach and getting to know him outside of the game. Literally no game talk whatsoever. So yeah, I'm appreciative of the opportunity that he gave me just to have that one-on-one conversation. That's something that I'm not going to be able to forget. So Yeah, great player, but an even better person.
I love Andrew. I loved Andrew when I was on prod last season and I saw his game and it was great. And getting to meet him here, both in and outside of the game, also in New York, I mean, it was a pleasure. Him leaving, it was looking back on it, because was one of the people who wanted Braden to stay, but looking back on it, that was a mistake on my part. And yeah, game wise aside, just great person. Love getting to talk to him. So easy to talk to, and it was a pleasure to get to be in a game with him and really get to know him on all types of levels. So that's
Okay. Next up, we have Melissa. Missy.
Melissa fucking Rogers, my absolute favorite person that I got to play with this season. No offense to you guys. Missy, you were my ride or die in this game. You were the reason that I was still here. I love you so much. You were one of the most kind, one of the most funny, one of the most genuine, and one of the most beautiful people that I've ever met. And I hope but nothing but the best for you. You are like one of the best people I've ever met. And when you went home pre-jury, I was shook. I cried. Tears were rolling down my eyes because when I lost you in this game, that was the first moment in this game that I felt like I took a really big hit. And I missed you so much. And I can't wait till we can call postseason because you are absolutely a star, magnificent. I'm so thankful that I got to play this game, even though it was short with you.
Yeah, Missy is probably one of the best characters that I've come across. Just an amazing personality, isn't afraid to be herself. And for that, it's really, really admirable. Me and her had literally, you got to remember, this was the first close vote that we had all season. It was her and Nick, and it was a 7-5 vote at that point. And so it was just, as soon as Andrew left, I was just sort of like in the dumps at that moment. But me and her got on a call for literally an hour talking about like plush pillows and Pokemon and anything else that you can think of. And that's just who Missy is. So hopefully after the season's over, she can give me the reputation of a slightly better Pokemon, but I'll take whatever she can give to me.
I love Missy. I loved when I was on prod season 10 and Missy was playing. It was awesome. And getting to play with her was great too. I didn't want her to go. I unfortunately, in the nom set that was there, I did. But overall, I had no intention of wanting her out. I loved my conversation with her. I had a lot of trust in her, honestly. And it was just a pleasure to be on call with her. She's such a bright personality, just a light, in this game, in this community. And she brought so much fun. And the fact that she did go so soon, it definitely took out one of the largest personalities and a lot of the joy that we had because she was the loudest on the Zoom. She was the most talkative on the Zoom, and when she was gone, all we had was Caleb, and it was like, so no, it was great. And I really enjoyed getting to play with her. And yeah, I'm really glad I got the opportunity.
Okay. Next up, our first live night victim, Braden.
Braden, I adore you as well. I think you're a great human being. I think you bring so much good to the world. I feel bad because I feel like we didn't get to see your true potential as a game player in this season, mostly probably just because of your life and your busy schedule. But I think you did very good with your cards that you were given. And you're just a great individual. I wanted to work with you in this game, but it seems like we just didn't get on the same page at time, unfortunately. And but once again, you're an awesome person, and I wish you the best in your engagement. I hope everything goes smoothly, and soon you all will be married. So I'm so excited to see that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Caleb was, right on the money too. The engagement was a huge moment in the season, I feel like. And I feel like the engagement going straight from that to an eviction was definitely a little bittersweet in the mouths of most people. But Braden's just a really outgoing individual, and Caleb said it best. The fact that we didn't really get to see the full version of Braden just because of life, because of being outside of the country. I mean, that just sort of speaks to the game that Braden played, though. The fact that Braden was able to handle all these life events and the game at the same time. I know I just wouldn't be able to do that. So the fact that Braden was able to do that speaks volumes.
I really like Braden. I really like the way that our conversations always went, always seemed very genuine. At the end of the day, things didn't really end up how I saw them going or wanted them to go. And that kind of, was unfortunate. Left a sour taste in my mouth there, in all honesty. But, I really liked the calls I did have with Braden and getting to talk game with them. They were just, a really fun person to be on calls with, and our conversation seemed genuine. And I wish things hadn't gone how they did, but life-wise, living their best life, and that's absolutely amazing. And I also wish them luck in, their engagement, marriage, and future and everything. And it was nice to get to play with them.
Okay, next up we have Justin.
All right, Justin, I feel like I should definitely lead this one. Justin, you're just such a special person to me. Losing you is when I felt like I lost everything in this game, truly. Like losing Misty was hard. Then losing you afterwards was extremely hard for me. And everything, like I said, I was in tears. I felt like I lost everybody at that point. And I feel bad because I feel like I played a part in that, unfortunately, unintentionally, with some indirect actions that happened. But I love you so much, and I'm so proud of everything that you're doing in life right now. And you make me like happy every time we talk. And I was so sad to see you leave this so early in this game, because I saw how good of a player you were when I played with you in Rewrite the Stars. And I love you, Justin, and I hope the world loves you as much as I do. So.
Yeah, Justin's a fantastic player, and it's crazy to go from the position that Justin was in, right, where week one, Justin and Jeremy are sort of going back and forth, and I'm sure all of us thought at some point, being like, okay, Justin's probably going to be voted out in the next 2 to 3 rounds if Jeremy has anything to do about it. But no, Justin recovered really, really well, and I was happy because, Justin was one of the first people that I met in the org community, like way back on 10 gauge days. I know Caleb knows a lot about that. But like it's crazy because every time Justin has played in org, he's gotten better and better at it. So I'd love to see him in a few more games. I'd love to see him get further and further, but from what I've seen so far, just from the 1984 series, he's a really impressive player.
My relationship with Justin, going from what it was when the game started to where it was when Justin left, is one of the biggest things I'll take away from this game. Justin and I came into this game on kind of a rocky footing. Justin eliminated me in the week 1 head of household competition. And so like I didn't know where we stood, and we had a lot of great calls, great talks. And, we had one call in particular that I'll never forget. It was one of my favorite org calls ever. It was just so genuine and so, down to earth. And that's just how Justin is. And I'm so, so glad I got to see that side of Justin here. Because they're awesome. And I was sad to see them go. And I'm grateful for the way that our relationship went this game. And I think that my relationship with Justin, I guess, it's one of those things where it reminds you that at the end of the day, these are games, but they're also people. We have genuine connections, genuine friendships, genuine bonds. And, 1 minute you're not on the best terms, and the next minute you are. And that's definitely the situation with us. And I'm grateful for how things went. So.
Okay. Next up, we have Josh Duolingo.
So Josh was actually one of the people that I've met before coming into this game in real life. And I really trusted Josh, and I think he's a great guy. We had a lot of good calls this season, and I would have considered him probably one of my closest allies here. And I was very sad to see Josh go, and he's just a funny individual. Me and him are like yin and yang in a lot of ways. He's very like analytical, and I'm very like emotional based, but he's a great guy, and I'm very glad I got to play with him for the first time, because I've never been able to do that. I knew him before playing games with him, but I never played a game with him. So I'm glad that we got to play with the game as long as we did, but unfortunately he got voted out. So yeah.
Yeah, Josh is an interesting one, and I'm sure Zach's just excited to talk about his good friend Josh over there. But yeah, Josh in our first season, he was the reason at the end of the day that I got voted out. So coming into this, having not spoken to him for over a year, I wasn't sure where our game relationship really stood. He was nothing but nice to me, at least, but behind the scenes, just a really, really good player. And as happy as I am to see him in a game, I'm equally as happy not to see him in a jury, because obviously he doesn't have the best feelings towards our original season, which, I mean, so be it. But I'm sure after the game's all over, the hard feelings will be away, and he's going to be one of those people that I hope to stay friends with for a long time.
So, I don't even know what to say, to be honest. I try to be nice, but I don't know. Because with Josh, we had a good relationship in our first season. Shit kind of hit the fan in the end game because he didn't want to sit with me. I didn't want to sit with him. That's fine. But then we come into this one, and I could just tell very quickly Josh didn't really want to work with me, had no trust in me. And you know what? That's fine. I get it. That's cool. But then, like, Josh would ignore my messages, tell people that I wasn't talking to him, and then was like spreading shit about me and like trying to get me out. And it's like, you know what? That's fine. But like last game is last game. Like me and Devin had our ups and downs last game too, to say the least. And yet here Devin and I are at final three. Like I get if you have reservations about a previous game, but like this right here, this rites of passage is proof that like shit can change and everything. So personally, I like Josh. I liked him in our first season, and I like him now. Game wise, so be it. You know what I mean? So, like Devin said, I'm happy he's not on the jury. That's that.
Tell us how you really feel, Zach.
Sorry.
You know what? I will.
Sorry.
Okay. We are now going to move into the jury phase of the game, and we will start with Crispy.
Crispy, I think you're probably one of the nicest and most genuine people in this cast. You do so much good in the world with your job and with everything that you do in life. I very much enjoyed our personal calls. I know we did not get to work very closely strategically together, but I was very glad to have those calls with you, and I can't wait to meet you so soon, because you just seem like such a genuine individual after this game. So yeah, nothing but nice words to say about Crispy.
And Crispy is another one of those individuals that was at that New York City meetup, and Crispy's probably the only individual that I can think of that I would go 45 minutes outside my way to go pick Crispy up at an airport, chase him around the airport because I don't know where he is, and then drive 45 minutes back into New York City to the hotel. So Crispy's just a genuine case of a really, really, really good player. But with that being said, he's an even better person. So I had nothing but good experiences with Crispy inside the game. We've had our ups and downs. Obviously, we've had time to reevaluate, how we see each other in the game. But outside of the game, literally brings me nothing but laughs and smiles. And so I'm grateful that Crispy was part of that first org meetup that I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, Crispy is an amazing and genuine person, incredibly funny, just so down to earth, so easy to talk to, just all of the above. It was a pleasure to get to play with him because again, I was on production last season. I saw him play. I loved him, and I loved his game. I loved his personality, and I was very much so looking to playing with him here. And I'm so glad that I got to. Obviously at the end of the day, I don't know how he feels about me being on like the jury and that whole vote situation, whatever. But hopefully once it's all done, regardless of game, personally, I hope that we're good. And because I absolutely adore Crispy, and I'm glad to call him a friend of mine.
Okay. Next up, we have Julia.
Julia Rowe, one of the kindest and one of the smartest players in this game. I think, had you not been evicted when you were, I feel like you definitely could be in one of our spots, probably my spot, to be honest. And I appreciate you so much. I think you're a great individual. I cannot wait to meet you so soon. We were supposed to meet a few weeks before this game started, actually. But things happen in life and you weren't able to make it, which is okay. And I think I'm very glad that we got to play together. You were one of my closest allies early on in this game. And I'm very thankful that we got to play together. And I just hope everything goes well with everything. And I'm rooting for you in life. So
yeah, Julia and I had definitely a rocky relationship, to say the least. A bunch of ups and downs, to the point where she may or may not have tried to backdoor me at one point in time for false reasoning, but immediately following that, me and her had a really raw, really honest, like 45 to an hour conversation. And I got to see a different side of her. She got to see a different side of me. So outside of the game, I definitely adore Julia, and she's literally from the same state as me, a few hours away from me, actually. So I hope that I get the opportunity to run into her at some point in time. But once again, this was the most chaotic round of the game, because that was literally the second part of the live night. And Jeremy does the infamous, speech that causes a 4-3 flip. So things were turning left, right, up, down. It was all over the place. So that round was definitely crazy, but it was just a really, really good play by Jeremy and those who saved Jeremy in that vote. But yeah, no, Julia herself, she's a really great player, which was intimidating, but at the same time, it was an absolute blast playing with her.
I love Julia. I was so devastated when Miss Kyoko took her out during the double, and I was there blindsided by someone I could trust, Devin. No, it was no. We're not gonna make it about the vote. Just personally, I love Julia. She and I played another game together, and we were very close there. We honestly didn't talk as much this game as we did that one. I think she was a lot more busy this time around, but life gets in the way, and regardless of that, I adore her, and I'm glad that I got to play another game with her, and I can't wait to talk to her soon, and just reconnect and get to see her.
Okay, next up is Kennedy.
Kennedy,
I don't think
Kyoko.
Sorry.
Oh.
I was going to say, I don't think anybody here has anything to say about Kennedy, so we might. Sorry.
Oh lordy, Kennedy. Had you have told me week 1 or 2 in this game that you would become one of my favorite people in this cast, I would have laughed. But you proved me wrong, and I am so glad that I've met you. Your calls are some of my favorite. To be honest, you're very genuine with me and everything, and I just enjoy your energy. I enjoy your presence. You bring a lot to the table in this game. You were a big presence pretty much the entire season. And I think that you rightfully earned your spot here. And when you got evicted over me, I'm glad that I stayed, but it was also bittersweet because I know how hard you wanted to keep playing this game and it sucked. But you're an amazing person, and I hope that everything goes well. So yeah.
Can I pass? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Kennedy inside the game, definitely really just focus on the competitions. It's nice being close to somebody in the game when you figure there's a 50% chance that she's going to win an HOH if she's eligible. So inside of the game, it's nice to have her in your corner. If you ever told me that we were going to go from season 7 and having a 6-person call to try to vote me out, Zach Rabb, you know what you did. It's having a 6-person call at the final 7 to vote me out, and then in this season in particular, to work so closely together and have a really great personal relationship as well. I'd say you're crazy at the time, but that's what ended up happening. So I'm thankful that Kennedy got recasted into the season. I'm thankful that she got as far as she did. We got to know more about each other. She was obviously there in that New York City meetup. So had a fantastic time getting to know her more.
Can I pass? No. Kennedy, she was my ride or die in my first ever org, and I feel like your first ever ride or die is not someone you usually forget. And even if I wanted to, she wouldn't let me. You know, she's just awesome. I don't even know, you know, what to say. She's an incredible player, incredible competitor. You know, even to her own detriment, I think that winning all those comps probably put a little bit too big of a target on her back. But if you told her that and said to her, you know, before she left, you know, girl, you're winning too much. Like, you know, you're putting too big of a target. She'd probably say, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm here to play, and that's what I love about her. And you know, personality wise, I mean, you know, I could go on and on, but I won't. But yeah, she's just I feel very lucky that I got to play another game with her after so long and just reconnect with her after a year after our first season. You know, it's just not an opportunity that you get very often, and I'm grateful for it.
Okay. Next up, we have Brian Spencer.
Brian, like I feel like you know, we had a very good relationship early on in this game. Unfortunately, some things kind of went down towards your eviction and everything, but I still think you're a good person and I wish you the best.
Brian, for me, I mean, people know how close me and Brian were. It didn't really take that much time to figure it out, but Brian's the reason I didn't get backdoored on Julia's HOH. Brian's the reason that I got as far as I did. He plays a huge role in that. And, you know, the only time I had really ever played with Brian was in a different org for, what was it, Cutthroat All-Stars. And we never ran into each other because it was a 32-person cast. And we didn't see each other until we had to go head-to-head in a competition to eat an ice cream sundae with hot sauce on it. And Brian looked me in my eyes and said, if you don't tell anybody that I'm backing out of this challenge, I'll give you the free point. And so I ate that ice cream sundae with the hot sauce, and I did it with a smile on my face. And I never told anybody about it, but he got a little paranoid, told people I couldn't be trusted in that game. So coming into this season, I was like, is he going to want to play with me? Is he not going to want to play with me? Like, where do we sort of stand? But no, I've absolutely loved playing with Brian Spencer. He is near the top of the people from the org community that I want to meet. So absolutely great guy to me and a great player all around. Very, very good player, very skilled. But yeah, I cannot wait until the season ends and I get to talk to him.
Brian coming into this game, one of the people that I wanted to work with the most, and one of the people that I was probably afraid of the most. You know, I know what he can do. I know what type of player he is, and he delivered. You know, surviving the block like he did next to Justin, insane. And you know, just a great competitor, and I loved our calls. He and I are very similar. We have a lot in common. And I would love to get the chance to meet him one day. And yeah, it was a pleasure. I feel like a lot of people in this game, I just was so looking forward to playing with them coming in, and I'm leaving here saying it was a pleasure to actually get to play side by side with him, and you know that I'm grateful to. And he's one of those people, 1000%. I'm very glad that I got to actually meet him after seeing him around the community for so long.
Okay. Next up is Nicholas.
Nicholas, I think you're a great character. I think you are just a very fun and kind individual, and I think that shows and showcases a lot through like your video calls with people. You can definitely tell that you're just a genuinely good person. You're an amazing fucking player, in my opinion. Like out of everyone here, I was the most scared of your campaigning abilities. I think you 100%, if got any farther, could have easily just won this game, won all the competitions, and got your way to the end. And like I said, amazing player, but more of an amazing person. And I'm very glad that I got to play with you as much as I did. And yeah, so.
Yeah, Caleb's right on the money once again. If Nick makes it any further into the game, there's a very good chance that Nick's sitting in one of these three spots and is playing in part 3 for his case to win the game. So Nick, very personable. Every time that I was on call with Nick, I was like, man, like I really just want to play the game with Nick. But I knew Nick and I, you know, our games weren't going to necessarily line up to the full extent. But still, amazing player. I've always told people that out of all the people I was scared of, he was the most well-rounded person. I felt like in the game, when it came to competition, social strategy, just every attribute that you could ever want in a player in the game. So I wasn't surprised that he won his original season. I wasn't surprised that he made it this far this season. So I'm looking forward to see what his thoughts are in the jury, regardless if I get third or whether I'm in the final 2, because I think his perspective is going to be really important.
Yeah, Nick, also someone I was looking forward to, playing with because when I was on Prod in season 10, I mean, he's such a funny, outgoing person. You can't help but enjoy talking to him. And so being on Prod in season 10 and seeing him play, he's just someone you want to talk to, someone you want to play with. So coming into this, I was very excited to see him and get to play with him. And for a while there, we were on, different sides with the whole old school, new school, whatever. But at the end of the day, obviously, people knew that he and I had a decent relationship and that we were decently close. And so I was sad to see him go, but like y'all said, huge threat. He was ready to win those comps. I know he was giving his 100% to every single comp beforehand. It just wasn't happening for a while. But I mean, final six, final five, final four, he could easily have won those comps and be here right now because I know he can. I mean, I saw him do it before. So great player, big threat. And if he hadn't left, who the hell knows? He could have definitely been here right now, and it would have been great.
Okay. Next up is Jeremy.
This is funny. So Jeremy, actually, this is kind of funny, was probably the person that I called the most in this game. Me and Jeremy on a personal level, I feel like are very similar in a lot of ways. And I really enjoyed those calls with Jeremy. They're a great person and human, but they're a terrifying person to play with in this game. Probably, I would say at that point was playing the best game 100% out of anyone in that final six. Going to be a house target the whole season and still making that final six is impressive as fuck. And they're a great player, but a great person too. And I hope that we can be friends afterwards of this game. So yeah.
Yeah, man, Jeremy. Once again, Jeremy's probably one of the individuals that I also called with one of the most in this game. Found themselves in power really early in the season at final 20. Found themselves coming off of the block in the following round as well. So Jeremy was in hot water the moment they touched foot inside of this game. But Caleb's right. When we got down to the final six, Jeremy was playing a very impressive game. It wouldn't surprise me in the awards after tonight if Michael Davis had said that Jeremy was one of the candidates at least for player of the season, because Jeremy had flipped a vote to stay 4-3. Jeremy, once again, in that second time when it was Jeremy versus Nolan on the block, Jeremy was right back at it, and I had to go message Michael. I had to go message Zach, and I had to say, don't be crazy. Jeremy has done this before. We have to vote Jeremy out right here. And so Jeremy's just a really, really well-spoken player. Absolutely love them in and out of the game. Hope to have the opportunity to see them at some point down the line. But yeah, Caleb's right. Intimidating is definitely the right word to use when it comes to Jeremy inside of the game.
I'm really glad that I got to know Jeremy more so on, a personal and game level here. I've seen Jeremy around. We had crossed paths previously, albeit briefly, but we had. And so I'm glad that in this game we were able to just get to know each other. I feel like Jeremy and I play very similarly. And that was something that I said to Jeremy a lot. Jeremy thinks about things very logically. They think about things very much so like what is best. And Jeremy they're not afraid to, I think, make a big move, So I respect that a lot about them and their gameplay. And it was really a pleasure to play with them. I mean, we had such an up and down. I mean, they nominated me week one, and then at the end of the day, it was final six, and they're making a chat with me and Michael being like, please save me, whatever, blah, blah. And as Devin said, Devin was messaging me like, oh my god, don't do it, oh my god. But no, all that nonsense aside, we had such an up and down relationship, but it was such a fun time, and I'm excited to get to talk to Jeremy after and see what they think about everything, because they're awesome, and I just want to talk to them and see what the fuck was going on this whole game.
Okay. Next up, we have Michael Mccolonis.
Michael is honestly, I think, probably one of the most genuine people in this cast. Michael is just a very down-to-earth kind of guy, very laid back and just very easy to talk to. Mine and Michael's relationship was kind of funny in this game because he wanted to backdoor me week 3. And then suddenly he became one of my closest allies throughout this game, and I really like Michael. And I think, if he was still here and he got a chance in the final 2, I think he beats all of us because that's how good and likable this guy is. Impressive game player, impressive person more so. And Michael absolutely deserved his spot in the All-Stars, and I think he proven that multiple times throughout the season. So
yeah, Michael's one of the most just respectful, genuine, sincere players in this game, and to have that kind of integrity and make it all the way down to the final five is not really something you see a lot nowadays. But Michael, very strong competitor. We were all nervous about Michael's ability to compete in endurance from the get-go for the most part. Michael was also very, I don't want to say sneaky, but very like keeps his cards close to his chest, is I guess the best way to do it. Like nobody knew what his favorite glory power was until like days afterwards. And we're all like, what is going on? Does anybody know for sure like what this man's power is? And that it was a smart way to play. He was the only person that really did that, while everyone else was sort of like, here's what my power is, here's what I'm planning on doing with it kind of thing. But yeah, if Michael gets to the end of this game, he's extremely well liked by the jury. It was just one of those classic cases of you're at fifth and I don't feel like I can beat you in the end kind of thing. So I tip the cap to him. But absolutely love him. And it's crazy because Michael, you know, competing in an endurance competition in a hotel room right next to him, like back-to-back hotel rooms, just felt like a different level of intensity for an endurance competition at the time. So it was a good time. But yeah, I hope there's no hard feelings, and I hope we can stay friends and continue to have these meetups outside of the community.
Yeah, Michael's an amazing person. I'm so glad that I got to meet him in this game and in person. He's the only person that I can say that I actually did get to see his HOH room. You know,
Sorry.
you know, he's just a great guy, so genuine, so upfront, so honest. And if I find out at the end of the season that he was lying to me the whole time, I might have to rewind these tapes, and we might have to, you know, cut this section out of here. But no, he's just, you know, so honest, such a good guy, and I'm so glad that I got to meet him. Another person I was really looking forward to playing with coming in, just because I know how he is, and you know, I enjoyed every single conversation that I had with him, and I hope to, you know, talk to him once this is all done.
Okay. And finally, we have Nolan.
Oh, I love Nolan. So, you know, it's really funny is Nolan and I, like, we called like really early in the game, you know, because like we did play Rewrite the Stars together. And I voted him out for 8th, but I got to play like so many days with him between the 2 games. And I just appreciate Nolan. I think he's a really genuine kid or guy. He's not much younger than me. Never mind. But I don't know why I say kid. But he's just a sweet dude. And I think he played a lot, like a really strong game that I don't know if anyone else realized. I mean, being a swing vote in like literally almost every eviction and still making Final Four, in my opinion, is extremely impressive. And just a very good person, very good player. And I'm just glad that I got to play again with him. And I feel like in a lot of ways, in terms of just mine and his connection in this game, we rewrote our own stars in that sense, because we didn't work very closely together and we had stars, but I think we did more so in this one. So very glad and very thankful that I got to play with him again.
Not rewriting your own stars. But, yeah, Nolan is just really just goofy, good sense of humor, just really easy to talk to. You try to treat everybody as people before players, and sometimes it's hard to do that. But with Nolan, like, he'll always treat you as a person before he treats you as a player. He'll sort of just tell you how his day is going. He'll tell you what's going on with his life. Final Four comes around. I mean, Caleb's right. When you're the swing vote that many times, and you're in this game for over 100 days between the 3 seasons that he was on, it's hard not to have a compelling case, especially when the jury isn't consistently dragging you every single round. Like the jury's consistently dragged other people in this game round after round. And so, but I absolutely adore Nolan. I understand why it might take some time for me and Nolan to get back on the same page outside of the game, but in and out of this game, I have nothing but love for him.
So I actually have to go lick my sidewalk. Don't have time to talk about Nolan, you know. No, Nolan, he is genuinely so funny. He's so funny without even trying to be. I mean, obviously, he knows he's funny, but he'll say shit that's just like, I don't even think that was supposed to be a joke, but it's just so funny. And I'm glad that I got to play this game with him before. I've never played an org with him, or really even like, he's another person I don't really see around much, like in the typical games that I follow, at least in this side of the community, and so, getting to see him here, it was pretty unexpected, just based on like the returnees and all that. And he was very open about the fact that he was an alt and an alternate, but he was so glad to be here. So he had such fight and drive to be here, and he showed that every round. Like y'all said, he was a swing vote time after time after time, and that itself, I mean, commendable. I want to hear what Prod has to say about his game, because I think his game is so interesting. I think it was such an interesting way to play and a key position that he was in every single round. And so I'm just really excited to talk to him and talk to Prod and just, really, really see where everything is. But just a great guy, and really glad to play with him and make it all the way to Final Four with him.
Okay. So with that is all we have. In just a few short hours, one of the three of you is going to be crowned as the winner of 1984 Fame and Glory. This has been such a great season. I've really enjoyed hosting everybody again. I'm excited to see how it finishes up. I hope you all are as well. So with that is all I have for you guys.